Warning, the following video might contain some moments that might not be suitable for younger viewers. Viewer discretion is advised. It was the summer of 1983. I remember it was summer because I had just finished building my son's old treehouse in the back paddock, and it was hot as hell out there. We had lived on a farm at that time, so we had plenty of space for it and more. I never understood why some other families would up and move to the city with all the freedom there was out there in the fields. Everyone always knew one another, and so you always knew who was or wasn't trustworthy. It was the sort of place you were bound to raise a family, you know. Anyway, there was a lot of hubbub that year about some big thing that had happened around that time. My neighbor Mark had been wounded while out hunting, and sworn up and down that it was something big that had done it. Now this is the country, mind. So there was a good bit of woods between my neighbor and me, and while it was good for hunting, I didn't hold much stock in the idea that something big could fit in there. The biggest we ever saw was the deer, and they didn't seem like the sort of animals to give Mark no injuries like what he had. Mark was a trustworthy sword through, so I figured he believed it at least. Some of the less skeptical of the locals on our road had banded together into a sort of hunting group, I guess, to go into the woods. They likely figured it was a boar or something of that nature, and I may be able to get something for catching it. When they approached me about it, I wished them luck, but generally decided to stick where I was. My late wife, Anna, wouldn't much like if I wasn't keeping an eye on our son, and said rest her soul. They accepted that and moved on. And I did just like I said. Now, my son had always had an active imagination, so I didn't think much of it when he told me he seen something in the woods out by his treehouse. I gone to do some work. You see, he was old enough to be by himself for a few minutes. I figured if he was up in his treehouse, there wasn't much wrong that could happen out there, you know? There wasn't no animals out there that could climb that high and be anything approaching dangerous. And like I said, I knew everyone that lived out there, so he comes to me and tells me about something he saw out there. Said it had scared him right good, and he comes straight to me about it because he didn't much like the idea of being out there alone anymore. And I was glad he come to me as soon as he was scared, but I am made sure to tell him he likely had been safer to stay up there if there was any sort of animal swimming around. I let him stay with me until I was done feeding the animals. Then we went back out to see what trouble was. I'd taken the old shotgun just in case, but just like I thought, there wasn't anything out there. Nothing that would cause much trouble. Anyway, so I just smiled to my son. I just smiled to my boy and told him things looked safe enough to me. He still seemed a bit shaken, so I made sure to stay up there with him this time until he was tired of it. Worst came to worst. I felt sure I'd be able to deal with any animal that came wandering up, especially being safe in the treehouse and all. About an hour later, he looks out the window and freezes up. He grabs me and points out into the woods, and by the look on his face, I was expecting him to yell, but he was quiet as a little boy can be. "Pap," he whispers to me, "it's here again!" Now, I was tense, mind you, but I still figured it was something someone he just wasn't looking at with the knowledge I had. Some regular animal, or maybe one of the hunting group was looking out in the trees, spooking him, and I have to have a talk with somebody, but that's not what I saw when I look out the window. I tried to put what I saw to writing as best as I can manage, but I'm not sure if I know how. This thing with long, slick, dark hair was creeping through the trees a little ways off. I call it a thing because it sure as hell wasn't no man or animal. The best I can describe it as is looking like someone would had broken his arms and legs, but kept crying anyhow, like its joints were all wrong. But couldn't have been the man, because it was twice as big as any man I knew, and moving in a way that no man could with limbs like that. I was looking at it for a few seconds. I was trying to disbelieve what I was seeing. When I saw it look up to the window, its eyes were dark, beady little things, buried there at all, and they met mine almost exactly. My blood was ice, and I can't even describe how sick a feeling I got in my belly looking into those eyes. It cocked its head, and barely a second later, it slowly raised up a gnarled hand. I I swear to you on God Almighty, it waved. Something about this snapped me right out of it, and I grabbed for my shotgun. But by the time I found it and aimed it out the window, the thing was gone. I'm telling you, there's no way anything that big could have moved so far, so fast, without making so much as a noise. I grabbed my son, and we got the hell out. And we got the hell out of there. I still can't explain what it is that we saw that day, because I never saw nor heard of it again. But I know one thing for certain. That's this. I don't know why most folks leave for the city, but I know why we did. Okay, so that was Summer in the Country, a summer themed creepypasta, and wow, this is actually a really good one. Especially this almost has that like a classic type of creepypasta that wasn't extremely cliched. And that creature at the end, like that's actually pretty horrifying by the description. Like, could that creature be the Wendigo? Like those the creature that's been talked about in the Pet Cemetery franchise. Yeah, that. And the writing's actually pretty good, and there's like moments with the main character trying to take her to trying to like tell the kid to like be careful with um going out whatever it lurks in the forest. That's a pretty much a fun father and son type of moment between you two. And everything else, it's really good, and well written. So anywho, I hope you guys enjoyed this creepypasta reading video, and like and comment this video and subscribe more content. So this is Mr. Freddy here, and I hope you have a very good day. So bye bye.